Everybody. This is Hedgepig, and welcome into what I hoped will become once again the regular Tuesday night stream. I have been, unfortunately, very sick of late, and family issues with my father being in the hospital these past 5 weeks have not made any of that easier. Pig wanted to say hello to everybody. Hey, Cole, how are you? I'm glad to see you in here. We've missed you on ARC. You need to stop by soon, and because I've come back and we're playing that. So tonight, what we are making is I am going to be making a cauliflower chowder with chicken in it. And it is a very fast and easy soup, which feeds a lot of people. It's very healthy for you, and it has lots of vegetables. After stream, the recipe will go up in my Discord. And yeah, Crystal needs to get paid before it comes back on. So it's the only one that's up right now is Gen 2. So I've been debating what kind of food to cook. I've got like 3 recipes I'm thinking of doing very soon. Hey, Rose, how are you doing? Welcome in. I wanted to make cauliflower chowder, which I have been wanting to make for quite a while. I wanted to make broccoli cheddar soup with chicken. And another recipe that I wanted to try out here for the stream is a creamy spinach and artichoke chicken casserole, which is really lovely, especially if you like the spinach and artichoke dip. Oh, you've got an early day tomorrow? What are you in the Eastern time zone? It probably will not be a 2-hour stream. This soup comes together pretty quickly, actually. I am working from memory on the recipe. It's one that I've done several times before, but so I'm going to check the recipe I have over and update it to what I say here. So it's already 9 o'clock your time. Yeah. Been there, done that. So what I am going to be doing is I am going to start out tonight with getting some of the aromatics on. And that is to say, I am going to start with getting on some onions to get going, and then I'm going to saute some chicken to go in this because my husband is can't reach that. Can't reach that. Okay, so I've got some baby carrots there to put on eventually. Got them so I can each. The main ingredient of this recipe is, of course, cauliflower, which is a very hardy, hard vegetable. It preserves very well in the refrigerator. Takes a long time for it to go off, which is good. And of course, it's just a lovely workhorse of a vegetable. It picks up the flavors of almost everything, and it is just amazing to work with. All right, so I have got a Mayan sweet onion here. It has the typical sweet onion shape, which is to say that it is a flat little onion that is far bigger around than it is tall. And I am going to start by cutting off the top or the growth area while leaving the root area on, because that will anchor the layers of the onion and make it so they don't slide apart when I'm trying to cut it. So that's a little secret for dicing onions or slicing onions, whichever your recipe calls for. As always, as you're using your vegetables and your foods, you want to give them a look over as you're doing it. Make sure that they are in good condition. They don't have any, if it's a vegetable or a fruit, that it doesn't have any soft spots or dark spots. Those can grow quite simply from just a bruise. But it is actually starting to decay in that area. And as cheap as onions are, I would probably just discard an onion that had a dark spot because a dark mass or whatever, because it's going to throw the flavor of the whole thing off. And hey, Darth Verbaka, welcome in. I'm so glad to see you here. You're joining me tonight for a cooking of creamy cauliflower chowder, which I'm going to add some chicken to. And it is going to have a few secret ingredients to it, like cream cheese to make the sauce extra creamy. And it is going to be topped for my husband because I'm allergic to pork. It's going to have some bacon on the top for him. If you could give Darth a shout out, I'd appreciate it, honey. He is another cooking streamer, and he is a rather avid chef who is, self-taught, and he just cooks the most wonderful food. I recommend his streams highly if you want to learn how to make things, and he's just a wonderful guy. So Darth, that is my husband, Andrew, and he is also my mod and my stream tech and the one who keeps everything running for me. I have now cut through the far side of the onion. This is the little root end, and this actually keeps all of the leaves together while you're cutting it. So that means you don't have to chase it across the board. I don't know if where you are has sweet onions or if you use them, Darth. I like them because they have the same flavor profile as an onion that's been caramelized already, and you don't have to do it yourself. So that's always good. This is just I'd say a medium-sized dice of a rather small sweet onion. These things can be really huge. I do a mix of plant and meat. I am primarily vegetarian, but nobody else in the house is. And I do try to eat meat when I can because, well, it's delicious for one thing. I'm a dietary vegetarian. I'm allergic to a lot of things, and I'm intolerant of meats in general because I don't make the enzymes anymore to digest them. And that is not an offshoot like it is for some people who've been, for instance, lifelong vegetarians and then are ordered to eat meat and they find they have a lot of really bad stomach upset. Mine was actually caused by my body just deciding spontaneously while I was eating meat. It just didn't want to make those enzymes anymore, so it made it so that anytime I would eat meat, I would get incredibly ill, like food poisoning. Oh no, your coffee's empty. That's a big thing. Most people have a coffee pot and they make maybe a pot or a pot of coffee, 2 pots of coffee in a day if they're really coffeeholics. My husband has a 45-cup urn. Noises? Oh dear. Yeah, he's got to do something to amuse himself, I guess, and that's enough to do it. So anyway, I use sweet onions a lot. They don't have the bite that a lot of onions do, like the red, white, or yellow onions. And I find if I am using them particularly in vegetable dishes, since they already have a sweetness to them, their flavor is as if I have caramelized the onion. Oh, great. Thank you for the lurk, Darth. I always appreciate seeing you, man. Because he drinks 32-ounce cups at a time, Rose. That is why. My husband is a coffeeholic of the highest order. He even drinks the stuff scorching hot in the middle of summer. Now, for those of you not familiar with my stream, this is my 2-burner hot plate from Farberware. And instead of having coils, this bad boy has solid cast iron plates, which means that although it takes it longer to heat up than it does for a coil version, the heat is all the way across. It's very even, and once it gets hot, it stays hot. It's a lovely rated one. I'm gonna tell your brother-in-law that it exists. Well, in case you ever want to know that it exists, all of the equipment that I use on my streams is available in my Discord under stream equipment. So you see where did I see that? Oh, the coffee pot. Well, it's not really a secret. It's just that most people don't know that you could buy those privately. So I am going to start with some oil or some butter here for my onions as my hot plate is actually heating up. I use both the cast iron hot plate. I also use Cuisinart pots and pans because they actually do a fabulous job. These are hard anodized. They are just as good as my cousin's set of Cephalon extremely expensive ones. And they cost a lot less. They're same quality, and they're just absolutely fabulous. I highly recommend anything in their hard anodized line. And in addition to being extremely good at being nonstick, this is a 5-quart Dutch oven. It has the metal sides here. It's got metal bolts. This can go from stovetop into the oven and back, and it tolerates a 530-degree oven. So you can actually make your pot roasts and things like that. Yeah, I do a cup or two every once in a while, but I do not drink coffee like my husband does, and that fluctuates up and down too. Anyway, the Cuisinart hard anodized also has a solid plate that's extra thick across the bottom, and it provides a nice even heat all the way across without hot spots, so that's good. And so this is an onion. I'm going to put it in there, get that started cooking. And then I am going to dice up a few pieces of celery here. It's part of the classic French mirepoix, which you find it's just the base of so many things. And that would be carrots, onions, and celery, which I actually duplicate in this as just part of the chowder ingredients, but it is something that's a really nasty looking piece. The flavors just go together, and the carrots add a sweetness that the onions, well, honestly, in France just don't have. And that's because the sweet onion is generally a American onion. You don't find it in Europe. My husband had never even heard of such things before he came here to America and hit me. And actual 10-ounce cup. Yeah, that's considered the standard coffee cup like you would find in a diner or a restaurant. I kind of like bigger than that. I mean, the one that I drink my tea out of is a very pretty cup. It's a 24-ounce cup, and that's pretty much the smallest one we have in the house at this point. Though when my merch comes through, which we are waiting to see what the quality of that is, I have ordered a sample to see what it's like, since after all it's going to have my name on it, and I don't want to be putting forth memorabilia and merchandise for my stream that's, you know, you get it and it's crap. So we're should be in probably next week, and then I'll show it on stream here, and then there will be a link to buying the merchandise that I have. And it is one of the things I will be selling is a 11-ounce coffee mug that has Cooking with Hedgepigs on it, and it's also got a picture of either my giggling hedgepig emote, or it has one of the new pieces of artwork, both done by the amazing Glittered Kitten, who is both a variety streamer here on Twitch, and she also does emotes and artwork for people here. She's got great prices. She's wonderful to work with, and she's an extremely talented artist. Just a lovely person. I recommend her highly if you need any emotes or anything like that, if you do your own streaming, or if you want to have something illustrated for your, if you decide you have an idea and you want to sell, for instance, aprons or anything else, mouse pads or whatever, she can help you with the artwork on that. So, and for those of you who wondered, this is called a board scraper. It's lovely for scooping things off your board and being able to pick them up without using your hands. It's also marked here in inches. It's basically for baking and cutting doughs and things. And it's actually a blade itself, and it can cut vegetables, although that's not what I use it for. I do not have a thing for pushing things around. I do not have a spoon, or, oh dear, it's not focusing on the ground again. No, I forgot it. I'm sorry. Hey, Badass Mama, how are you doing? Welcome in. Thanks for joining us. I am making, your basic nightmare. I've got milk products going into this, but I'm making creamy cauliflower chowder with chicken, and you can leave the chicken out and have a lovely creamy cauliflower chowder on its own. If you cannot have dairy products, you can use vegetable oil in the place of the butter that I'm using here to saute. And you can use, in the place of the cream cheese, there's a product called Better Than Cream Cheese, and it's made with silken tofu, and it tastes like cream cheese, has the properties of cream cheese, melts, but it's made of tofu. And of course, there's a lot of different plant-based milks that you can use when you're adding the cream type product to it. Thank you, sweetheart. That is a husband hand. I am going to add a little bit of salt to this, and this is some sea salt, and it would be about a 1/4 teaspoon. Feel free to add more if you like, probably twice that, but we do love sodium here for my mother. And I am going to add a little bit of pepper to this. And that's maybe an 1/8 of a teaspoon.
Hold now.
Yeah, I know. And then I've got some sage that's going in here. And I'm going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of rubbed sage. And I put that in there. And I'm going to turn the heat down. I have been cooking this at a medium to medium high. I'm turning that down to a medium to medium low because I don't want to actually burn anything there. I'm going to move my mouth to one side because I don't need it there right now. And I'm going to use a small cutting board for cutting chicken because once you cut chicken on anything, the knife goes away and so does the board. You can't use it again without being washed. So I've got these to the side. And now I'm getting out the chicken thighs. And these are just frozen, skinless, boneless chicken breasts, chicken thighs, pardon me. And I am going to cut these with a larger knife. And I do actually like to cut my chicken when it's frozen. It makes it very easy to deal with it. It doesn't slide all over. This is going to be fairly large dice because this is a chowder, not a soup. Chowders and stews have larger pieces in them. They're meant to be heartier fare than soup is. So if this was a soup, I would be definitely making maybe a 1/2-inch dice of chicken to go in it. But because this is a stew, it's going to be closer to 1 inch or 2. And I still just, huh? What do I have in the pot already? I have about 4 tablespoons of butter, and I have a sweet onion that's diced, and I have 3 stalks of celery, and I have got about a 1/2 teaspoon of rubbed sage and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. You could do far more pepper if you like. My husband isn't fond of pepper, so I tend to cut it down as much as I can for him. It's fun having 4 different diets in the same family between me with my vegetarian and food allergies. Andrew can eat anything. It's just what does he want to eat? And vegetarian is usually not it. And then we have my mother with her restricted sodium, can't have dairy and can't have acidic things. And then there's my father who's just picky. So I hear all the time about how he doesn't really care for things like noodle dishes and pasta, except for spaghetti. He doesn't like casseroles. He says he never ate them, but this is a thing of his age. That wasn't good. I dropped a whole chicken thigh. I am going to need to have you actually take that away, honey, if you would, and nuke these. They're a little too frozen at this point. It's here on the thing. Okay, and just take these and throw them in the microwave for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. And this, all I've cut away is just fat, basically. Don't want to have it all there. Normally mine is a little more thawed than that. They're still somewhat frozen, maybe half frozen, but they aren't quite that hard. Unfortunately, we got a little delayed because the chair I'm sitting in was delivered about an hour before stream, and that's it. So, oh no. Tiny pink pig! You can't see her face. You need to make her face a little more clear. I did get a new chair. There's that little face. That is a Thai beanie baby pig, and I was in a grocery store in Eastern Washington, and Andrew was with me, and he was busily paying for the groceries, and from the corner of my eye, I saw this little display before Valentine's Day. Yeah, the little pink pig that's up there on the screen is a brand new pink pig, and I got her made from, I will flap her up here so that she can be seen. We have a tiny pink pig, and she is now somebody that we can alternate with our dancing pink pig made for me by Professor Nels. And there we go. She's an emote. She is also a featured bit of our new merchandising that we will soon be releasing. That tiny little pig that Andrew showed you was one that we picked up about 10 years ago in an Albertsons grocery store. It's made by Thai Beanie Babies. And I saw it, and there are reports that there was a sound, something like a squee. And I moved quickly and directly to the display. Andrew calls it skittering. Pink pig! It's a pink pig! Thank you, Badass Mama, for calling in Pink Pig. She loves to appear. It's a pink pig. It's a pink pig.
I'll say this much, even the cashier was laughing as she skittered towards the hedgehog.
That's your side of the story. I never heard any laughing. There was no laughing. Andrew made that up.
I was too busy focused on the hedge.
Thank you, honey. And yes, there we go. You have redeemed them. Thank you so much. I appreciate the redeem of the pink pig. And I will continue cooking up the chicken to join the rest. Yeah, this is about the stage we normally get at by leaving the chicken out, but we couldn't do that because, like I said, the chair was being delivered, and it is not a small chair. This is actually a full-size rocking recliner that I'm sitting in with our table pulled up to it, and it is far more comfortable than the chair that I have been using, because that one is an office chair that was sized for my father. And suffice it to say, I have short little legs, and it kind of hurts when they dangle off the edge there because I have issues with locomotion. So we're going through the chicken here and just cutting it into a dice. That's just ice. And it is a very large dice. This uses a vegetable broth. A lot of times you find recipes for, like for instance, potato soup. I am going to be making a baked potato soup in the near future. And it's going to be a loaded baked potato soup. It's going to be served with sour cream and cheese and diced green onions. And I am not actually short. I am 5'8", but I've got the build that I inherited from my father's side of the family, which is that our legs are actually shorter than they should be for our height. According to the people from the ergonomics people for one of the engineering companies I worked for that had to get me a chair that was comfortable for my long hours I spent in it. They spared no expense, but they said that for my height, between my hips and my shoulders, I have the body length of someone who's 6 feet tall. So I actually sit very tall in a chair. However, from the hip down, I have the legs of somebody who should be 5'2". So there's a 6-inch offset there that makes it difficult for me to get sized easily into things like chairs in particular, because with my knee issues that I have, if my legs are dangling, it causes extreme pain. And so office chairs in general are a bad thing for me. It's hard to find one that has an extra short, call those cannon thing. And yes, Andrew does have very, very, very long legs. He's 6'3", so he's a tall boy anyway. And then you add on the fact that he has very long limbs in addition to that. And it makes for a fun combo. He has to check his stride anytime we're walking together, especially since I'm on crutches now. But even when I wasn't on crutches, he had to pull his steps back, and I had to stretch my stride as much as I could just to walk together. So that's always fun. Alrighty, almost through this. And this is 6 chicken thighs. Ugh, I hate that. Don't you hate that? I know you can get like, it's like a stool for in front of your toilet. And it's basically meant for people who are extremely short or, children. And yeah, it's about as good of a solution as you can get in the days where, pretty much they think one size fits all, and not even close. So as I'm going through this, I'm just using my familiarity with the cut here to check and make sure that we don't have any leftover tendons. I don't want to bite into it, and I don't want to have the people who eat my food to bite into something that you wouldn't really want to eat, like a big lump of fat or some gristle, or in the deboning process, sometimes bits of cartilage and bone get left, and I don't want to bite into that. I don't want anybody swallowing bone shards or anything like that. So I always check as I'm going through and cutting these things visually. Is it okay? Is this something that we really want to bite, or does it need to be discarded? When in doubt, I discard it. It's just not worth the risk of having somebody have a bone go into their throat and get stuck, or, something like that. So, and I'm going to brown this. And the chicken things are now ready to go away. And I am ready to wash my hands to take care of the raw chicken. That's not good. Because you never want to have raw chicken cross-contaminate anything you're doing. So. This away from me, sweetheart. Along with this, don't need it anymore. And while the chicken is cooking, which because I've put frozen things in it, I'm going to now turn the heat back up again. Make sure nothing is sticking by stirring the bottom of the pot. Shifts things around to make sure that you don't have anything sticking or burning or... No. No. Put that back. That is a reacher grabber, and I do not need it, nor do I welcome it. No, go away. Yeah, my father was 6'1" in his prime, and his father was 5'4", and his mother was just 5 feet tall. And here comes this giant of a man out of these two tiny little people, and just odd how that works sometimes, isn't it? Anyway, I have got, for the color, rainbow carrots here. They're the same as any other carrot, they just look pretty. And I am going to cut that open, and because one of my big things that I have here is that it's difficult to photograph the food that I cook because what I have is a plate of brown. Very often it's like, okay, I have a massive brown in a lighter brown sauce on something that is beige. And it just doesn't make for very inspired pictures, you know. I try, but doesn't make for very inspired pictures. And what I am going to do to these carrots, which are very sweet and nice, is cut them into discs. And I am adding maybe a half a cup of these to the soup. And you could add more if you really like carrots. I don't particularly care for cooked carrots. I love them when they're raw. Cooked, not so much. I don't know. And I don't think it's a texture thing because there's lots of mushy vegetable types that I eat, including squashes. I think it's just the way the cooking changes the taste of the carrot and makes it incredibly sweet. And I don't particularly care for it. I don't know how else to say it. When in doubt, get your fingers out of the way, pull them back. I know that professional chefs go and are taught how to cut things very quickly. I was taught how to cut them carefully so that even when you see my chicken go squirting out of my grip and hustle off the side of the table, I didn't get hurt because I had my fingers well out of the way. And it's just sort of a reflex. As my mother always used to say, if you cut your fingers off, you know, don't come running to me. You know how to keep your fingers out of the way. It's a loving motherly thought. You know, you'd think she'd be more concerned about her child bleeding, but it's like, don't you get your blood everywhere. You know, being the one to clean it up, I guess I can't really blame her. But one of the funniest things she's ever said was my brother in the middle of the summer wanted to go out and mow the lawn in bare feet. He said, it's just the lawn. And she says, no, you wear shoes. He's like, why? And he says, because you might cut your toes off. And he says, oh, I won't cut my feet off. And she says, if you do, don't you come running to me, which is pretty funny if you stop and think about it. We found it funny. Mom didn't so much until she thought about it for a bit. So I have got white carrots, regular orange carrots in here, and these lovely little burgundy devils. And they're just pretty. I used them in my chicken noodle soup, and I've been using them because, oddly enough, these are actually cheaper than the regular ones right now. I don't know why. But it adds a little extra color interest, even if it does nothing for flavor. It's just like the purple potatoes or the heirloom tomatoes that come in colors like orange and yellow, even when they're completely ripe. It's a color thing, and it's not so much a flavor thing. So this is about a half a cup or a little more of carrots, and I'm going to add that on top. And then I am going to stir this around a little bit more. The chicken is cooking quite nicely. It has, in places where it's far enough down, turned a nice opaque white, whereas the areas where it's still raw, it's still pink and kind of translucent, and that needs to go away. I guess you could use pork. You could leave it completely out if you want. You could put beef in here if you wanted to. I can't clearly picture what pork would taste like in this because it's been so long since I've actually always been able, I've always been unable to eat pork. If you have pork, go ahead. As I recall, if you're not actually, if you had ham, it would probably be pretty good too. I am going to be topping my husband's serving of this with chopped bacon. And if it weren't for the allergy, I would say I would put it all the way through it. Just throw the bacon in there anyway and cook this in bacon fat. But like I said, I've never been able to eat pork products without getting really sick. And I never understood why. I mean, especially as a kid. I mean, I had bacon, loved bacon, got sick. And I would have, mom and dad loved shake and bake chicken, chicken or pork chops. And when I'd eat it with chicken and I'd be fine. And then I'd have it with pork. And when I had it with pork, I got sick. And I always, if I have a pork product, within a few minutes of swallowing it, I get a rancid oil taste in my mouth. It's just singular, completely singular. There's nothing else it can taste like. It is rancid oil, and it actually slicks my mouth, and it's just very unpleasant. And then there's the symptoms of food poisoning to deal with too. So all in all, not a good time for me. Yeah, you could use pork in here, I think. Ham would go well too. The spices for this soup are actually very simple. This is a soup that lets the vegetables in this do the talking for it. So you make sure that you have really good vegetables. You make sure that your onions are good and your carrots are good. You make sure the celery isn't floppy and disgusting. Always use the best quality ingredients when you're cooking. Really, that doesn't necessarily mean expensive. It just means fresh. Use fresh quality ingredients. Make sure that the meat isn't off color, doesn't have a strange sweetish or foul smell to it. Make sure the color is okay. Same thing with the vegetables. Make sure they're not slimy. That means they're starting to decay and you're going to get sick from that. They can if they're like carrots and quite a few different vegetables that are higher in sugar, they can actually ferment and you'll have an alcohol tang. Yeah. When I use carrots after we open the bag, they're, usually rinsed and stored with paper towels. And I was always taught when you get the celery in, you rinse the whole celery head, then you
cut off the very bottom, you chop off the top, and then you wrap it in paper towels and put it in your crisper drawer so that it stays crisp rather than going all wobbly and icky. And that is a technical term, yicky. I'm a little ahead of myself here because I didn't have the chicken ready. This is also going to call for It is going to call for 2 pounds of cauliflower florets. That's a little bit more than a head of cauliflower. It's got 2 potatoes in it because even with the 5-quart stock pot, if you add too much potatoes, it quickly becomes potato soup, not what you're trying to make of it. Yeah, if you use broccoli instead of cauliflower, it kind of becomes a cream of broccoli chowder instead of a cream of cauliflower, but that's fine. You know, whatever floats your boat. It's just some people, you know, they don't like mushrooms. Don't put mushrooms in things. They don't like cauliflower. Well, then, you know, come up with a different vegetable to make the soup with. You know, this basic soup, if you change the star of it, cream of cauliflower soup becomes, you know, cream of broccoli. If you don't like that either, then, you know, you can use zucchini. And, you know, zucchini then would be a cream of zucchini soup, which actually tastes quite nice. If you don't like potatoes, although I don't know of many people that don't, you know, don't put potatoes in it. Be less as far as the carbohydrates are concerned. But a potato here too, you know, divided into an entire cauldron of soup, it's not really going to be that bad as far as the carb count is. So if you're on a keto diet, this is a nice recipe for a keto diet. You can drop the potatoes out of it or just use less potatoes so you have some potato in it. And that will make it more keto compliant. But aside from that, it's got milk and butter. It's got the vegetables in there. And it's got, as a secret ingredient to make it extra creamy, cream cheese, which I'm going to melt into the white sauce. And as I said, Badass Mama, you probably know about them, but you can use a product called Better Than Cream Cheese made by a company called Tofutti. And it's silken tofu that, of course, has no dairy products because it's tofu. And it reacts like cream cheese. It melts, it spreads, it tastes like cream cheese. I mean, I put it into mashed potatoes earlier this week that Andrew, or late last week that Andrew made for me. And he tried a bite of it and he basically said, "Oh, I got a bit of the cream cheese," because that's what it tasted like to him. If you want to, if you like broccoli, if you like cauliflower together, if you don't have enough cauliflower to fill the whole soup out, you can make this a broccoli and cauliflower chowder if you want. And I'm calling it a chowder because it also has potatoes in it and because it's going to be in a milk base by having me make a bechamel or a white sauce that I am then going to melt the cream cheese into to give it a little extra creaminess. And I find it works particularly well if you're going to freeze it to have cream cheese in it, because it kind of holds the milk together and makes it so that it's not going to break when you reheat it. I've seen some recipes recently where I even saw a cream of, and this is going to get Andrew, a cream of what do you call those things? Little cabbage sprouts. He hates them. So that is not something he would ever willingly cook, nor would I be silly enough to ask him to eat it. Brussels sprouts, that's it. He does not like Brussels sprouts. He has been known, in fact, to throw them at his mother. Flick them, I think, is what he called it. But yeah, he absolutely hates those things, despite liking cabbage. I just think they are a bitter tasting cabbage in my taste, and I actually like them. I liked them before I liked cabbage. I used to hate cabbage growing up. It was put in the stews that we ate, and it was, of course, served with corned beef and cabbage, and everybody just absolutely loved that, and they wanted to have all of this cabbage in their things. I mean, my brother, when he first started making his own in college, he actually would take a small corned beef brisket and put that into a pot, and then he'd put 6 heads of cabbage in it because he loved the taste of cabbage boiled with the cauliflower so much that he didn't even care if it had meat in it when it was done. Yeah, Brussels sprouts look like little cabbages, and that's basically what they are. Although they will not grow into a full-size cabbage. They're going to stay little because that is actually a variety. And they have a more bitter taste than regular cabbage does. And this is your regular green cabbage, not the other varieties like the red cabbage and the Napa. The Napa cabbage is the one that looks like a really big, long head of romaine that's frilly. That is your Napa cabbage, and that actually works quite well in a lot of Asian dishes that call for cabbage. Not to be confused with bok choy, which is something completely different. It's kind of flavorless. A lot of vitamins and such in it, though.
Oh, Brussels sprouts.
Well, he likes parsnips and calls them sweets. So I think one of the most disgusting vegetables of all times is parsnip, but it's very, very popular in the UK. They're weird. What can I say? Very hard root vegetable, and
Shut your mouths.
it is uniquely bitter. Cooking doesn't take that away. So I've always disliked it. Ever since I was a little girl, and my great aunt used to make mashed parsnips and rutabagas for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners, along with the mashed potatoes, and just ugh. All right, I take and put this into the container of holding that contains it's going to contain vegetables that will be added in when it's time to get the soup cooking. And we're almost there. As soon as the chicken is sealed all the way around, basically, I am going to put the vegetable broth in it. Now this is a pet peeve here. A lot of people, when they make vegetable soups, they make cream of broccoli, they make cream of cauliflower, they make cream of anything, they make potato soup, and they use chicken broth in it as a stock to add extra flavor. Well, when you do that, what you have when you add the milk products to it is you have cream of chicken with something. that's just what it tastes like. It's a cream of chicken at the point you put a milk product into that. And that actually looks like it's ready to start going into it. Cannot stand colored greens. You mean like rainbow chard, or are you talking about you don't like bok choy and spinach and collards and kale? Is that what you're talking about, Badass Mama? Oh, collard greens. Yeah, Collard, collard greens. And this is a vegetable broth I'm putting in here. Doesn't contain garlic. And I am putting it in here because this is a vegetable soup. I don't want it to taste like a chicken soup. It's to be a vegetable soup that has chicken in it coincidentally, not chicken soup that has a lot of vegetables. That is not quite enough. So, and that was a 32-ounce container. This is a second 32-ounce container. For some reason, the top is resisting me. There we go. Easy to open cap. My foot. Okay. And I'm going to put that in here. And then I didn't use quite all of that. I probably used 2/3. Yeah, collard greens, turnip greens, things like that. They do tend to be bitter. And that's just a property of the greens. It is, you really can't get around it. I'm going to very carefully add the potatoes to this. And that's 2 baking potatoes. I like the texture of baking potatoes for soup over some others. You could add little red potatoes or new potatoes to this instead. That would be fine to work with. And then I have got a big container, 2 pounds of cauliflower florets. Put them in here to check them all. Make sure they're the right size. Cut a little bit. Honey, could you please rinse these off? They have kind of a salty liquid on them. I don't want on my soup. It'll throw off the seasoning.
It's so fussy.
Well, all right, so now we've got almost everything in that pot together, and I have raised the temperature. And when the cauliflower gets back in here, I will be bringing it to a boil and then lowering the heat. It will simmer for 20 minutes. And then while I'm doing that, I will have the white sauce that I'm building that will thicken it. It is very easy
to cook this, especially if you're taking a few liberties of, buying, cauliflower that's already been chopped up. And careful, it might not all fit in there, so. I know you are. Alrighty, let's get. Yeah, it's gonna have to cook down. Alright. This might be a challenge to get any further liquid in that. Okay, so while that is starting to cook there and bring the broth up to a simmer so that the potatoes and the cauliflower will cook through. I'll talk about what we've got upcoming as far as recipes are concerned. I have got this cauliflower soup I'm making right now, cauliflower chowder. I intend to be making a broccoli cheddar soup that is. Oh, can you use cubes instead of broth liquid? You can, but I generally find that the bouillon cubes are really, really salty. So if you do use those instead, follow the directions, add the water in there as it calls for to reconstitute a certain amount of broth. And you will want to not add any salt until after you're done cooking. Hey, Darth, thanks so much for coming by. I appreciate you coming and lurking. I'll see you on one of your streams soon. Have a good night. Thanks for coming. So I'll be making a broccoli cauliflower soup coming up. That's, I would say it's spawned off the idea of Panera, but Panera is not the only company in the world that has broccoli cauliflower soup. And I would still hold off on the salt, even with the fact that they're low sodium cubes, because you can always add salt, but you can't take it away. That is the primary reason why I never use it. Plus, I can't really control what other spices they've used in a bouillon cube, and generally they are pre-seasoned beyond just salt. Another alternate to that is you can use the Knorr bouillon like granule. That's a good option. Knorr also says they also have like really concentrated broth in little bottles. The bottles are like this big, and you can make about a gallon or more of broth out of it once it's reconstituted. They do have to be refrigerated after opening, but other than that, they have a great taste to them. The Knorr products are really good. That's Knorr. So, so I will be making a broccoli cheddar soup. I'm going to be making a loaded baked potato soup. That is just scrumptious. It is basically a cream of potato soup that is, I add in cream cheese to it to make it extra smooth and creamy, and then it is topped by the bowl with shredded cheddar cheese and a dollop of sour cream, and it's got bacon on it and usually chives. So yep. And just like these other things, if you know how to do the non-dairy version, it's absolutely easy to do. You can use vegan butter. You can use plant-based milk, like for instance, oat milk. Hey Tigers, how you doing? Yeah, cream cheese and soups that are a creamed soup. The cream cheese, such as this,
This is 8 ounces. That's a half pound. And it adds a really silky smoothness to the cream base of the soup. And it adds a subtle cheesiness as well. So if I wanted to add cheddar cheese to this, I could make it a cauliflower cheese chowder, but I don't want to have the cheddar come in and take it over. I am not going to be putting bacon into the soups. It is going to go see, I get this stuff for my husband. It's bacon pieces, and he can just sprinkle it on top of his soup, and nothing else has to touch it. It's served by the bowl then instead of in the main soup. Otherwise, I'd absolutely be throwing bacon into this because it adds a lovely smoky quality to the soup that just really enriches the flavor. I have done it with turkey bacon, but my husband finds turkey bacon an abomination. He says it doesn't taste like bacon to him. So just kind of tastes like smoked turkey. No, this isn't bacon bits. This is actually chopped bacon that has been chopped. I'm afraid they might add actually pork product to it of some kind. It's amazing what they sneak bacon fat and pork fat into for flavor. I have to be really careful about reading labels on everything. Well, my husband's British. They are very into their pork products and their pork sausage and their bacon. If you've never seen British bacon, honey, why don't you can you display a picture of it? It looks like a pork chop, actually, without the bone, but it's slightly smoked, and it is. I think you'd like the other. That's a good picture. I'm watching as he's doing things on my computer. There is a picture of the different kinds of bacon. The American bacon, which is cut from the pork or from the belly, is called streaky bacon over the rest of the world. British bacon is the bacon you see in the bottom corner, which has a big eye on it and then a tail, and it kind of looks like a pork chop. You can see it there. That's the British bacon. And then the Canadian bacon is cut from the pork loin. And as it's considered, British bacon is a perfect combination of pork loin and pork belly in a traditional bacon cut. So the thin end is actually the American streaky bacon, and the thick end is actually the loin. So it spans the area, and there is not much fat, just a little rim of fat along the pork there. And I actually have persuaded a butcher to find out how to do that when we were living in Eastern Washington. And so for a year, we were able to get British style bacon for my husband without having to pay the import fees. Now, if we want to get it, I have to pay, it's about $9 a half pound. anyway, it's very different from American bacon. And it looks wonderful. I wish with all my heart I could actually eat it, but I can't. So now this is warmed to basically room temperature, so when I make the white sauce, it will melt lovely into it. I'm going to give it a cubing so that it will be able to melt easier than one big block of it flunked into the sauce. Pork is an extremely inexpensive meat. It is a lean meat, which is good, despite being, things like bacon and pork belly and things like that, which is, glorifying more of the fat sourced. But if you're allergic, you're allergic, and I just can't do it. So closest I get is they have fake bacon, which I don't like. I do like turkey bacon though, especially if it's by Butterball or Jennie-O. They make really good turkey bacons, and it's as close to bacon as I can get now. I will take this and make the white sauce, and then I will melt the cream cheese into it. That is my method. So I'm going to bring my butter back up, and this is 3/4 of a stick, so it's a little more than 4 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup. So it's a little more than a 1/4 cup of butter. And I cube that as well so that it melts faster, even though this is near room temperature because it's been sitting out here this whole stream so far. And again, if you can't use this, you can use margarine, or you can use one of the vegan butters that they have. And I am going to take another Cuisinart pan, and I am going to put the butter into it, and then I will melt it, and I will add flour to it, and then milk to it, and it will make a lovely mother sauce. Called that because there are only 7 basic mother sauces in the world. Tomato sauce is the beginning of anything tomato-based, marinaras or whatever. Yeah, margarine is dairy-free sometimes. You do have to read the label. Sometimes they have a little bit of milk in it. So you may need to make sure it says dairy-free, or that and when it looks under allergens, it doesn't say dairy or milk. So it is something that you do have to watch. Are you not coming to a boil? It's starting to, but it's right at the brim. I'm actually going to have to remove some of the stuff in this in order to put the white sauce into it. And what I will do is and once the heat comes up in this, I hope nobody else can see that red frame that's sitting around the screen that I can see. It was around the picture that Andrew added of the, you don't get sick from eating margarine, I get sick from eating salted butter. Okay, that's good. Then it's just on my streamers picture from the OBS studio stuff. Let me see. Going forward, I have got a chicken casserole that will be, may I call it a creamy spinach and artichoke chicken casserole. And that, if you like spinach and artichoke dip, you'll probably like this. It's made with cooked artichokes and their hearts, and it is made with fresh spinach and once again, cream cheese, milk, sauce that is then you put the poached or baked chicken into it and, serve it with pasta if you're going to be doing pasta. Another thing you can do to make it keto friendly if you're doing that is serve it over cauliflower, which is often used to take the place of either potatoes or noodles. And hey, MPH, how are ya? Lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in tonight. I am making I'm making a cauliflower chowder with chicken, and it is going to have the white sauce that is going to thicken it is going to have cream cheese in it. And when it is served, I am going to be putting real bacon pieces on it for my husband. And then I've got some nice baguette here that we can eat the soup with, because what is soup without a little bit of French bread? Oh, thank you so much for the subscription, Tigers. I really appreciate that. Thank you, and welcome in. And that gets us one shy of my subscriber goal of 10. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy my streams. If you have just found me, you can find my VODs on YouTube at Cooking with Hedgepigs. And if you subscribe to that channel, which costs nothing, it will let you know whenever we put out another video. And all of my videos I've done in the last 6 months, and I am almost at 7 months now of streaming, can be found on my YouTube channel. So you can find it there. My recipes, of course, are on my Discord. Can you pop up the Discord for me, honey? And they can be found there in my Discord, along with pictures of everything that I've cooked for everybody, so you can see if it looks good. It's out of focus again, isn't it? I can't tell. All right, so I have got a little bit more than a 1/4 cup of butter, and it's about 1/3 of a cup of butter, and I am going to match that approximately with flour. You can use gluten-free flour. You could also use cornstarch in this, or arrowroot if you really wanted to thicken it. I would recommend, if you need to be gluten-free, you just get gluten-free flour. That will have the best properties then follow what we've got here. And I will combine this together. I'm going to take it off so I have a better view of it. Butter was starting to get a little brown, so it's a good thing I did. There's nothing wrong with letting your butter get a little brown. There is, after all, a thing called brown butter, which is butter that you have let the fats get a little browned in, and what that means is it makes it a kind of a nutty flavor, and it's actually nice. That was a 1 cup measuring, where if I had filled it all the way to the top, it was 1 cup, halfway would be 1/2 cup, and I tipped it on its side and I got about 1/3 of a cup, and it's just me eyeballing it. That was about 1/3 of a cup of butter and about 1/3 of a cup of flour. You want to have them be about equal measure. And I have got this cooking at a medium heat because you do not want to exceed that. You don't want to burn your butter. You don't want to burn your roux. And I am actually going to be making this, because I'm being naughty, I'm making this with 1/2 and 1/2 instead of milk. It's still better than cream. Theoretically, cream is, of course, yummy. As I said, I will be getting this recipe up in Discord after the stream. I am working from memory off of this recipe, and I need to check the measurements of my recipe before I put it up. but I will edit that and get it up into my Discord after stream. I actually, I have seen plant-based half and half recently, Badass Mama. You might want to try looking for it. They do have it now. And you want to give this a little stir every now and then. You only need to cook this about 2 or 3 minutes in order to cook the flour out so that it doesn't taste raw anymore. They don't have it there. You must live in a very small area. I live near Seattle. We have all kinds of foodie grocery stores, so we're a little spoiled for that. If I was living in Eastern Washington, where we used to live, I'd probably have a lot harder of a time. Yeah. That is simmering and foamy, which is fine. It does mean it is cooking. It's not going down any level. I'm definitely going to have to ladle some of this out to put the thickener in it. To go back with what I was saying, there are things called mother sauces, and one of those is the bechamel, which is the white sauce. And once you add something like this, cream cheese to it or other cheese, if you add the various other things that you would add to a white sauce to use it in a recipe, it becomes a daughter sauce. So once the cheese hits it, a cheese sauce is a daughter sauce. The bechamel or white sauce is a mother sauce. A tomato sauce is a mother sauce, and then you add the onions and the other vegetables. You add the seasonings to it that makes it a marinara. The marinara is a daughter sauce. Get the idea behind this. And all of the sauces in the world, all of that is based on 7 mother sauces, which is a pretty interesting thing. There is a cooking streamer here called Kinara, and she's a wonderful lady and has incredible informing shows, and she is actually dedicating a month to the mother sauces. She's going to make all 7 of them and then give you variations within recipes to show you how they're used. So that's kind of interesting. Plus, I guarantee if you go to her streams, you will absolutely be hooked. She cooks on a 1934 cast iron stove. That is the thing that she cooks with. She also has a grill, and she has a microwave, of course, and a hot plate. But the reason why she doesn't cook off of that stove in the summer is because the entire stove heats up, because the whole thing is made of cast iron, and it puts out, 300, 400 degree temperatures and will absolutely melt her kitchen and everybody in it during the summer. So that's more of a winter thing, but it does do incomparable baking. It's just kind of like a pizza oven, like a wood-fired pizza oven. Really can't be duplicated by the oven in your kitchen. It's just completely different. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to pour, this is 64 ounces, I believe. I am going to put in maybe half of this. So I'm going to start out with probably 16 ounces. That's a little more than 16. It's about 20 ounces. It's about a third of it. And I am combining it. Hey, Alan the Ghost, how are you doing? Welcome in. Let me see. I didn't quite catch what was said above. Alan the Ghost, I made pasta and cheese, but more importantly, know you from the Chef Maria stream. I think I'm going through things. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Alan, for stopping by.
That's wonderful to see you. I appreciate the effort and the time. I hope things get better, less complicated, go smoothly for you as soon as possible. I am going to put in what is eventually going to be roughly half of that. So it's about 32 ounces of half and half there on white sauce. And I am putting it back onto its hob. And you need, when you're cooking a white sauce, when you're forming it, you really need to keep your whisk or your spoon or spatula moving. So where the thickened sauce first starts happening is on the edges and on the bottom, and you want to make very sure it doesn't have the opportunity to stick and burn. So as we cook this, I've got two things going at once. I'm going to have to reduce the heat on my chowder here because it had almost burned over. So let's take and mix this down so that everything has a chance. And I can tell that the cauliflower is not cooked through yet. And the potatoes likely are not either. This has just gotten to an active simmer all the way across. It will take it a little bit, probably another 10 minutes. And meanwhile, I've got my white sauce to build. It takes a while to get the timing right on things. Now, there's nothing wrong with cooking the soup. Can you put the snap crock pot at all? A snap crock pot? Oh, sure. You could do the soup version of this, the soup portion of this in a crock pot. I'd say probably 4 hours cooking time, 2 hours on high, 2 hours on low for a combine of 4. And then when you're ready for it, I would just make the white sauce and add it to it, and you're good to go. So yeah, you could do it. You could put this in there, and if you have one of the crock pots that has the keep warm function, once you've put the 4 hours in there, if you've programmed it in, it'll switch over to warm and keep it warm for you, and that's fine. Then when you come home from work or whenever it is you want it, come home from church or the movie you went to or shopping or what have you that took you away from it, just make the white sauce and make it extra thick because that's the portion of the white sauce that you do. It's on high or low. Okay, so you kind of have to watch it. I might recommend trying to find a more modern crock pot. There is a crock pot made by Crock-Pot that is large. You can put a whole chicken in it and set it in there along with vegetables and broth and all. And it's $20. It's got high and low, it's got time programming, and it has a keep warm so that automatically, once it's done with its timed cooking, it will just keep it warm. And we often do that with soups and stews and just leave them there, until they're done, basically, until we ate it all, because it keeps it at an eating temperature, it keeps it at a safe temperature, and it's just nice to be able to go to the thing and just have a bowl whenever you want. So nothing wrong with the old crock pots, but some of the functions that they have on the new ones are really nice to have. And you've also got to look at that they're not as expensive as they used to be. A lot of people get crock pots and never really know what to do with them. They don't know how to adapt the recipes. There are entire crock pot recipe books. So you might want to give her one of those to go along with it so she knows more things that she can do with it. Most people think what you do with a crock pot is just throw food in it and walk away. And, you know, you're looking at like a pot roast or something similar to that. And that's really not the limitation of the crock pots. Okay, I am checking this. My white sauce is not really thickening yet. It's still coming up to temperature to do that. Let's see, going forward into non-soup things. I have had a request to do more Mexican cuisine. I have intentions for making enchiladas, both seafood enchiladas and regular. I'll have vegetarian enchiladas made with red sauce, made with green sauce, some made with a seafood sauce, which is cream based. And I will probably show how to make arroz con pollo, which is chicken with rice, which is yummy, and it has peppers and onions and chicken in it. It's served over a Mexican rice. And might even do, I really love fajitas. I love burritos. Mexican food has always been very rare in my house when I grew up. The only Mexican food we had was tacos, and that would be the hard taco, shell tacos, and that was pretty much once or twice a year. And from when I was 6 on and could request what I wanted on my birthday, I always chose tacos or taco salad for my birthday dinner because I loved them so much, and we never had them any other time. We were into the American food. For us, Mexican food was tacos, and Italian food was either a store-bought lasagna or it was spaghetti. So I have taken a great deal of delight in branching out from that and what Italian food means to me and what Mexican food means. And so much of it is just so delicious. And it's something that I really, really enjoy cooking. Just like if we had Asian food, the Asian food was always bought at the Chinese restaurant that was in town, and that was the only way we had Chinese food. We didn't have Japanese restaurants when I was growing up. There weren't Thai or Vietnamese. It was just the Chinese restaurant, and we were fortunate that we had some good ones. But since then, I enjoy Thai, I enjoy Japanese, I like Chinese, and I have found recipes for these things. I've gotten some of them directly from the restaurants or people I knew that worked or owned Chinese restaurants or Thai restaurants, and because I have to avoid the garlic and the pork. So, now the good thing about thickening these with a white sauce is you don't have to worry about the white sauce getting too thick because you want it thick. You want it to be about the consistency somewhere between wallpaper paste and a thick milkshake, because when it hits the broth that's in there, it's going to thin it a lot. And if you don't have a really thick white sauce, you're kind of wasting your time. Pardon me there while I had some mint tea. I am probably getting very close to this being done. As far as the soup portion goes, I need to bring yeah, this isn't thickening at all as of yet.
there are a couple tricks that you can do to find when your sauces are turning into something else. This is starting to go. It is starting to thicken. There's an appearance to it. It starts going from what looks like just milk to being like a very thick milk. Let me see. I need to get this off and check my broccoli and check my potatoes if I can reach them. What have I got in here? Okay, I have got potatoes. I've got a big chunk of broccoli. And I am going to put it over the top of this. And I'm going to use it is, as a matter of fact, done. So I'm going to put those back in. And reduce the heat under it because it only just needs to keep warm now until the white sauce is finished. And I can tell no, I don't need to put more flour into the white sauce. It just needs to cook. It needs to come up to temperature. You don't want it to boil, but I do it slowly so it doesn't split. And that was a lot of very cool. That was about 32 ounces of very cool half and half. So no, I don't ever add more flour to a white sauce because I've generally made it with enough flour in it to start that it has enough power to thicken it itself. As soon as this starts thickening, it's already starting, so it won't be too much longer. Once it starts thickening, I can add the cream cheese to it, and that will help as well. But you need to have it so that it coats the back of a spoon, hence why I have big spoons here, also for eating. And I put it in here, and as I will show you, you can see that it is coating the spoon, but as it sits here, it kind of all runs away. I can draw a line in it, but it's really, it's come away to the point where it's just kind of grainy looking. Tina Bug! Hey, Tina Bug, welcome in. You are coming in kind of towards the end of my stream again, unfortunately. You'll have to catch the VOD to see the rest. I am making a creamy cauliflower chowder with chicken. And okay. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to take 2 hours, but we are approaching 2 hours now. We're about 18 minutes off. And yeah. Soups often take me by surprise by how long they take. It doesn't seem to be that long, but when I'm talking, I'm spending more time talking and pausing than I am actually cooking. So I am going to keep that going. No, it didn't seem like this. It's mostly cooking time. It's about 20 minutes of cooking time on the stove. Thank you for the shout out. I appreciate that. Tina Bug is a wonderful streamer. I absolutely adore her streams. What I have got here is a creamy cauliflower chowder. I have in the pot here a sweet onion, 3 diced sweet onion diced, 3 stalks of celery diced, about half to 3/4 of a cup of sliced baby carrots. I have got 2 pounds of cauliflower and about 6 chicken thighs, along with sage, salt, and pepper. I haven't added the parsley to it yet. And my white sauce that I'm cooking here to thicken it with is going to have cream cheese melted into it for extra velvety yumminess. And Tina Bug's friend. Yes, we all know about Tina Bug's friend. She had a lovely stream that we helped completely derail. She was talking about camping things, and she talked about a personal device that was made for making it easier for women to camp out, called a female funnel. And she told us about her friend who had it. And we had a great deal of fun teasing her and saying, we all know that friend really means you, but you're just embarrassed. So basically, she lost control of her stream at that time. We just reduced her completely to giggles. And even better, I think pretty much everybody in her viewership was just laughing their butts off. So a great time was had by all. And Tina Bug and her friend are very welcome in my stream. How are you doing other than tired? I know you've got the new job and all that. I'm hoping it is going well for you. Exhausted. I'm so sorry. I have the sauce on medium. You don't want to cook it on high because you'll split your sauce. You don't ever want it to reach a boil because you will split your sauce. And that is just bad. This is now starting to turn into a sauce, so I'm going to start adding these little cubes of cream cheese, and this is 8 ounces of cream cheese I'm adding to it. I'm going to add them a few at a time and then stir them in so that they start melting into the sauce. And they will just make this just the creamiest, most velvety sauce you've ever seen in your life. It's why they use cream cheese so much in hot dips. Yeah, this is on medium heat. So, but I've also got, like I said, this is it is a cast iron plate that is heated up on my hot plate, and it is very thorough in the heating. Once it gets hot, it stays hot for a long time. It literally takes about 45 minutes to get it cool enough to be handled, to take this down. All right, those have already melted in, so I'm going to add some more. And I just do them a little bit at a time so that they melt more completely and easily without having to sit here and stir and stir and stir forever. Well, yeah. I mean, there's half-hour meals that I can put together for stream in about 45 minutes to an hour, just because I talk too much. If I was just flat demonstrating the cooking of it, it would be a lot faster, but I'm not. So anyway, so I am just stirring this in, letting them melt. As you can see, it gets imprisoned here as it does, but it will fall out. And a lot of times when I take the photographs of my food that I have just finished cooking, if I have a white sauce, sometimes it looks a little grainy. That's because the cheese hasn't finished melting and combining with the sauce, and I kind of rushed it a bit. Doesn't mean it's curdled. Later on, when the cheese finishes melting in and when we reheat it, it's really velvety and smooth. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's part of Well, it was how my grandmother taught me to cook, and she always talked about how to select the fruits and vegetables and how to prepare them. And she had a lot of things that she did. One of the things that she did was her potato salad. If you didn't cut it the way she cut it and about the sizes, it didn't taste the same. It was really very strange. And, she taught me how to. Uh, Asparagus actually grows wild over there in addition to being cultivated where she was. And she taught me things like, I asked her, well, how do you know where to cut off the bottom of the asparagus? Because it's one big long stalk. And she, held up the asparagus and flexed it, and it snapped in half, or actually a little bit less than that. And she says, where it breaks is where it needs to be. Everything under that is tough. So don't cut it, snap them. And that's never steered me wrong. The times when I tried to get fancy, it wasn't good. Let's put it that way. I ended up with some woody stalks, and that just was a very, very off-putting. It wasn't too bad as long as what I was doing was steaming or boiling the asparagus in order to just eat it. But when I was trying to make soup out of it, the woody stems make stringy soup, and it's just icky. Asparagus soup, cream of asparagus soup should actually be something that is creamy and velvety, and it should not have stringy bits and hard, crunchy bits. So I have got a lot of things upcoming and a lot of recipes. I'm going to be, as I said, I'm going to be going more into Mexican cuisine. I'm going to be cooking fajitas and enchiladas. I'll be doing probably more burritos and possibly even a Mexican lasagna. And I will be making a cheesy taco pasta. I have also intentions of doing more Midwest comfort food, including my grandmother's simple fried chicken with milk gravy on mashed potatoes, and there is not a more comforting dish on this planet than that. It is just, I would say, Midwestern soul food. It's not anything that's done with a really big crispy crust. It is just seasoned flour that you roll your chicken in, and it's a very light seasoning. I am going to get this off of the heat. It is needing to be whisked and paid attention to and loved. The cheese is melting here, which I think you can see here. I need to make sure that I pay enough attention to it that the cheese isn't lumpy. It's already very creamy. And at this point, if I were to put the spoon into it, it's like pudding. I think you can see that. There's no question that it is a sauce. I haven't added any seasonings into it. No salt or pepper yet. That's really good. It does need some salt. So I'm going to add several gratings of this in here, the salt that I have, it's the sea salt. And I would say I am probably putting, I don't know, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt in that to improve the flavor. And that's going nice and creamy. I am also going to add the parsley that I would have added to the soup. And I'm going to put a tablespoon of parsley in it. And maybe a tablespoon and a half there. I was a little happy with it. Parsley is very good for you. It not only has a nice, clean herbal taste, but for women and people who need iron, it is also very high in iron. So That is a good thing. And it's pretty. Come on, it's pretty. What's prettier than that? So this is the texture you really want to get for your white sauce that you're going to add to your soup, because you do want it to be very thick. I'm sorry you're not feeling good, Badass Mama. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the questions. Finish out my VOD in order to see the rest of the soup. I am almost done. You're almost at the home stretch. Okay. Now, as promised, what happened to my vegetable thing? Oh, honey, I need the thing back because I need to get some of the soup out of here because I don't have enough room in my pot in order to. I don't have enough room in my pot in order to actually be able to add the thickener to it. There's a shock. Now, if you wanted to have a thinner version of this white sauce with the cream cheese in it, this would taste really good over mashed potatoes. I might be a little strange, but yeah, that would taste really good over mashed potatoes. So I am going to take some of this out of here. What are you doing?
Just a little strange.
Just a little bit. I am going to put it in here. Want to be able to stir this. So I'm going to take roughly half of that out, and then I will put in a ladle. If you want to take and stop that. You want to take and cut up some of those into slices for me, that would be awesome.
How big?
About that thick. I am going to take a couple scoops of this to thicken the soup that's in here. And then I will stir it up. Move this off to one side. And I'm going to take and pour this into the main soup pot. Give that to Andrew to carry away with him while I stir it. I'm just getting this nice, creamy, velvety white sauce I made with the cream cheese in it, scraped off of the ladle. And then I'm going to stir it in the soup here to make it into the finished chowder form. And although it's a little bit runny at this stage from the amount of broth that's in it, when this reheats tomorrow and in the oven, when it's frozen, it will be a lot thicker and it will still be very, very creamy and yummy and nice. So, let me go away. That's fine. All right. So, I've got a nice big bowl, and I am going to take and bring out some of the soup from the depths. And okay, I'm going to turn off the heat from under that and do a little bit of cleanup on my bowl so it looks nice and pretty. Have Andrew take some photographs. Oh, bacon, this is yours. Get that away from me. Add a healthy amount to the top. Good. Okay. And go photograph that. Here is a spoon for you. You can take a picture with and without it. I think I don't know where my camera is. Okay. I am going to get a second bowl, which will not have the bacon in it. I wish you could smell. I really do. This is absolutely gorgeous. You can smell the seasonings in it. You can smell the creaminess. You can smell the chicken. The vegetables that are in it are lovely. And the sauce, although the base of it is not as thick as you might think of for a lot of this. Good. Perfect. You've got good pictures again. Now I will take a spoonful here and get a little bit of most of it in here and bring it up to the camera so you can see. Oh, that is incredibly good. The milk flavor of the chowder is very to the forefront. You probably would not say, oh, this has cream cheese in it, or even, oh, it has cheese in it. It is just a sweet cream flavor. You can taste the sage, you can taste the parsley, you taste the cauliflower, you can taste the chicken, which is very nicely seasoned. It is just a really lovely, velvety, comforting soup. And I do hope you take the opportunity to try it. I will get the recipe edited and put up on my Discord. And I will do that after stream while I'm eating my soup, actually. I'm going to take a look and see who it is. Did we get a shout out for Tina Bug? We did, didn't we? Who do we have up?
I think we're going to do an unusual move, and we are going to raid Dash Ducks, which is a live feed of a farm that has ducks in a pond, and you can feed them with bits, and they're absolutely adorable and cute. If you ever want something very peaceful just to have on in the background, right now it is sunset, but we are going to raid that, and I hope you do go along with me. Thank you, everyone who has shown up. Thank you to Tigers for the new prescription. I really appreciate that. I love everybody who's shown up here and take their time out. Catch my VOD, Tina Bug. You will really enjoy how easy this is to put together. Subscription, not a prescription. Sorry, my mind is already on the soup. So what we have here is I am hoping to stream again, possibly Friday. And thank you all for coming. I'll see you next time.